Hello, puppets! Today I'm going to open Grimm's Fairy Tales to read to you The Little Farmer. There was a certain village where lived many rich farmers and only one poor one, whom they called the Little Farmer. He had not even a cow, and still less he had in money to buy one. And he and his wife greatly wished for such a thing. One day he said to her, "Listen, I have a good idea. It is that your godfather the joiner shall make us a calf of wood and paint it brown, and so have it look just like any other, and then in time perhaps it will grow big and become a cow." The notion pleased his wife, and the godfather joiner set to work, saw and plane, and soon took out a complete calf, with its head down and neck stretched out as if it were grazing. The next morning, as the cows were driven to pasture, the little farmer called out to the drover, "Look here, I've a little calf to go, but it's still young and it must be carried." "All right," said the drover, and tucked it under his arm, carrying it into the meadows, and stood it in the grass. And so the calf stayed where it was put, and seemed to be eating all the time. And the drover thought to himself, "It will soon be able to run off alone if it grazes at that rate." In the evening, when the herds had come to be driven home, he said to the calf, "If you can stand there eating like that, you can just walk off on your own four legs. I'm not going to lug you under my arm again." But the little farmer was standing by his house door, waiting for his calf, and when he saw the cowherd coming through the village without it, he asked what it meant. The cowherd answered, "It's still out there, eating away, never attended the call, and would not come with the rest." Then the little farmer said, "I will tell you what, I must have that beast brought home tonight." And they went together through the fields in quest of it, but someone had stolen it, and it was gone. And the drover said, "Most likely it's run away." But the little farmer said, "Not it," and brought the cowherd before the bailiff, who ordered him for his carelessness to give the little farmer a cow for the missing calf. So now the little farmer and his wife possessed their long-wished-for cow. They rejoiced with all their hearts, but unfortunately they had no fodder for it, and could give it nothing to eat. So the little farmer went down after they had salted the flesh and sell the skin, to buy a new calf with it for what he got. And on the way he came to a mill where he found a raven was sitting with broken wings, and he took it up out of pity and wrapped it in the skin. The weather was very stormy, and it blew and rained, so he turned to the mill and asked for shelter. The miller's wife was alone in the house, and she said to the little farmer, "Well, come in and lie down in the straw." She gave him a piece of bread and cheese, and so the little farmer ate and then lay down with the skin near him. And the miller's wife thought he was sleeping with fatigue. After a while, in came another man, and the miller's wife received him very well, saying, "My husband is out. We will make good cheer." And the little farmer listened to all they had said, because when he had heard of the good cheer spoken of, he grew angry to think that he had been put off with just bread and cheese. For the miller's wife presently brought out roasted meat, salad, cakes, and wine. Now, as the pair were sitting down to their feast, there came a knock at the door. "Oh dear!" cried the woman, "it's my husband." And in a twinkling she popped the roast meat into the oven, the wine under the pillow, the salad in the bed, and the cakes under the bed, and the man into the linen closet. She opened the door with her husband, saying, "Oh, thank goodness you're here. What weather it is. It's as if the world were to end." When the miller saw the little farmer laying in the straw, he said, "What fellow have you got there?" "Oh," the wife said, "the poor chap came in amidst of the wind and rain and asked for shelter, so I gave him some bread and cheese and spread out straw for him." The husband answered, "Oh, well, I've no objection, only get me something to eat at once." But the wife said, "There's nothing but bread and cheese." "Anything'll do for me," answered the miller. "Bread and cheese forever." And catching sight of the little farmer, he cried, "Come along and keep me company." The little farmer didn't wait long to be asked twice, but sat down and ate. After a while, the miller noticed that there was a skin lying on the ground with the raven wrapped in it. And he said, "What have you there?" The little farmer answered, "A fortune teller." And the miller asked, "Can he tell my fortune?" "Why not?" answered the farmer. "He will tell 4 things, and then keep the 5th for himself." Now the miller became very curious and said, "Ask him to say something." And the little farmer pinched the raven so that it croaked, "Ha! Ha!" "Well, what does it say?" asked the miller. And the farmer answered, "First he says that there's wine under the pillow." "Well, that would be jolly," cried the miller, and he went to look and found the wine and asked, "What next?" Well, the little farmer made the raven croak again, and then said, he says secondly that there is roast meat in the oven. "Well, that would be jolly," cried the miller, and he looked and found the roast meat. And the little farmer made the fortune teller speak again, and then he says thirdly that there is salad in the bed. "Well, that would be jolly," cried the miller, and went to look and found the salad. Once more the farmer pinched the raven so it croaked and said, he says fourthly and lastly that there are cakes under the bed. "Well, that would be jolly," cried the miller, and he went to look and he found the cakes. And now the two sat down to table, and the miller's wife felt very uncomfortable, and she went to the bed and took the keys with her. The miller was eager to know what the 5th was going to be, but the farmer said, "Suppose we eat these 4 things in peace first, for the 5th thing is a great deal worse." So they sat and they ate, and while they ate, they bargained together as to how much the miller would give for knowing the 5th thing, and at last they agreed upon $300. Then the little farmer pinched the raven so it croaked aloud, and the miller asked what it had said. So the little farmer answered, "He says that there's a demon in the linen closet." Then the miller said that demon must come out of the linen closet, and he unbarred the house door while the little farmer got the key of the linen closet from the miller's wife and opened it. The man rushed forth and out of the house, and the miller said, "I saw the black rogue with my own eyes, so it is a good riddance." And the farmer took himself by daybreak the next morning with $300. And after this, the little farmer by degrees got in on the world and bought himself a little house. Oh, he built it. Well, that's better. He built himself a good house, and the other farmers said, "Surely the little farmer has been where it rains gold pieces and has brought home money by the bushel." And he was summoned before the bailiff to say whence his riches came. And all he said was, "I sold my calf skin for $300. When the other farmers heard this, they wished to share such good luck and ran home and killed all their cows, skinned them in order to sell them for also the same high price as the little farmer. And the bailiff said, "I must be beforehand with them." And so he sent his servant into town to the skin buyer, and he only gave her $3 for the skin. And that was faring better than the others, for when they came, they did not get as much as that. For the skin buyer said, "What am I to do with all of these skins?" Now the other farmers were very angry with the little farmer for misleading them, and they vowed vengeance against him and went to complain of his deceit to the bailiff. The poor little farmer was with one voice sentenced to death, to be put in a cask with holes in it and rolled into the water. And so he was led to his execution, and a priest was fetched to say mass for him, and the rest of the people had to stand at a distance. As soon as the little farmer caught sight of the priest, he knew them for the man who was hidden in the linen closet at the miller's. And he said to him, "Well, as I let you out of the cupboard, you must let me out of the cask." At that moment, a shepherd passed with a flock of sheep, and the little farmer, knowing him to have a great wish to become bailiff himself, called out with all his might, "No, I will not for all the world you asked me, I would not." The shepherd, hearing, came upon him and asked what he would not do. The little farmer answered, "They want to make me bailiff if I sit in this cask, but I will not do it." The shepherd said, "Well, if that's all there is to do in order to become bailiff, I'll sit in the cask and welcome." And the little farmer answered, "Yes, that is all Just you get in the cask and you will become bailiff." So the shepherd agreed and got in, and the little farmer fastened on the top and then collected the herd of sheep and drove them away. The priest went back to the parish assembly and told them that Mass had been said. And then they came and began to roll the cask into the water. And as it went, the shepherd inside called out, "I consent to be bailiff." They thought that it was the little farmer who spoke, and they answered, "All right, but first you must go on down below and look about you a little." And they rolled the cask into the water. Upon that, the farmers went home, and when they reached the village, there they met the little farmer driving a flock of sheep, and looking quite calm and contented. The farmers were astonished and cried, "Little farmer, whence did you come? How did you get out of the water?" "Oh, easily," he said. "I sank and sank until I came to the bottom, and then I broke through the cask and came out of it, and there were beautiful meadows and plenty of sheep feeding, so I brought away this flock with me." Then the farmers all said, "Are there any left?" "Oh, yes," answered the little farmer, "more than you could possibly need." And then the farmers agreed that they would go and fetch some sheep also, and each man a flock for himself. And the bailiff said, "Well, me first." And they all went together, and in the blue sky there were little fleecy clouds like lambkins, and they were reflected upon the water. And the farmers cried out, "There are sheep down there at the bottom." When the bailiff heard this, he pressed forward and said, "I will go first and look about me, and if things go well, I will call to you." He jumped plump into the water, and they all thought that the noise he made meant "come." And so the whole company jumped in one after another, and so perished all the proprietors of the village, and the little farmer, as sole heir, became a rich man. Well, that's an awfully terrible, mean thing to do, but I don't think that the little farmer's cleverness was meant to point out his own cruelty, but the greed of all of the other rich people in the village. It's just hard to go about understanding the perspective where they came from some of these days. I'll look into it and share more with you once you get in touch and we can all share these stories together.